And if you grew up in Northern Illinois or Milwaukee area or whatever, went to Alpine Valley a lot. Strangely, they did not play this song. They didn't do Down Rodeo. But it's their first show in a long time. First show in 11 years.
Wow.
Well, they were set to do it pre-COVID. Yeah.
I still got tickets for the 25th of July.
My boyfriend's going too.
Romo.
Oh, is it that soon? It's the 25th?
Yep.
Is it still Run the Jewels in the support there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't do Down Rodeo. At least
but they're
not.
older now, so now it's Ran the Jewels.
At least they didn't play Down Rodeo last night. They had Bomb Track and End with Killing in the Name and 14 songs in the middle there. And, of course, the usual...
I just hope they don't get too political.
Well, I was going to say, that's what's funny is when Rage Against the Machine fans somehow miss what these guys are raging against and complain that they're a little too political. Abort the Supreme Court was a running theme throughout the show last night. Over 30,000 people. This is a sold-out gig at Alpine Valley in Wisconsin. And obviously, they, like I said, pre-COVID, they had announced this big tour, and they were going to kick it off with a show near the border in El Paso right after the 2020 election. None of that happened. But they have new things to be angry about when you're in Rage Against the Machine or whether you're just in this country. There are always new and fresh hells to rage against. But so far, they are donating all of the money from ticket sales to reproductive rights organizations.
Wow.
So the Alpine Valley show in Wisconsin, I think the United Center in Chicago, that's a hometown show for Tom Morello. They're doing 2 shows at the United Center.
Good for them.
And they're donating $475,000 from the Alpine Valley show to... And boy, Wisconsin, oof.
They need it.
Yeah, you think Ohio's in bad shape. And it is. But it's been 23 years since Rage Against the Machine has dropped any original music. But they haven't played for 11 years.
My boyfriend's going to the show, and when I was all hopped up last week on the Backstreet Boys concert, and I was listening to Backstreet Boys for like the day before and 2 days after, he was like, "You're still doing this?" Like, it's been a few days, and I was like, "There's not a band that you would freak out like this over." And he's like, "I'm a musician. I've seen 5,000 shows. I've been to every concert."
Wait, he thought it was weird that you were still, after the show, that you
like
were still...
2 days later, I was still talking about how great it was, and I was still listening to music while I was getting ready. And he said that if it were to be anything, it would be the Rage show, because this is his first time seeing them. He's been listening to them for 20 years, and he's like real amped up to go see
And you
this.
can't... you can't say that about every show, too. So
Right.
if you're still talking about the show like it was a big deal to you... I saw Rage Against the Machine 100 years ago.
Yeah.
I've only seen them once. I've never seen them like modern-day Rage Against the Machine, but...
I've met Tom Morello, but I've never seen them live, and I'm so excited for the concert.
Yeah.
He's like, he's going to... That is a Wednesday, and then 2 days later is the Outlaw Music Festival, and he's going to both of those in the same week, so he's super pumped.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Not my cup of tea.
The Outlaw Festival?
Neither.
You don't like Willie Nelson?
I mean, I do.
You like country music?
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like I would like the Outlaw Music Festival more than Rage Against the Machine with ZZ Top and I don't know the other people on it, but
Government Mule?
them I don't know.
Yeah. That's, what's his name? From Skinnerd, I think, right? Government Mule is Warren Haynes? Mm-hmm. One of those guys. Skinnerd adjacent.
Skinner.
Yeah. Okay. So who's his +1 for Rage Against the Machine?
He is actually his friend's +1. His friend works for a large corporation in Cleveland and got sweet tickets.
Ironic.
What do you mean? Large corporation in Cleveland?
Mm-hmm. Well, no, the Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
He got his tickets working for a large corporation.
He did. He has a suite. So he's like, we're sharing the suite amongst however many people, 20 people in the company. I get 1 + 1, and he's taking my boyfriend. So they've been best friends forever.
I don't know that that's a show I'd want to see in the suite.
That's kind of what I said, but it's a free ticket at the same time. And you get food
I understand.
And booze
You're there.
and all that. Yeah.
I get it.
Because I was like, do you get like a wristband to go on the floor at any point or like in the pit? And it was like, no, we get the very expensive suite with all the food and, everything else.
It's going to be Rage Against the Latrine.
I see what you did there.
See what I did, Bill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they're going to have to
poop and pee.
Oh, there's so much poop and pee in those suites.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Well, that'll be fun for him.
Yeah, I'm excited. He doesn't get to do a lot of things because he works so much. So I'm like, yeah, go to your 2 concerts in a week.
Sure. Usually all he gets to do are his job and you.
Yeah. And one of those gets real boring.
Yeah! Don't say which one.
Not the wide berth.
Okay. Don't give it away. Alan Cox Show. After hours line, if you want to leave us voicemails, you can. It's 216-986-8903.
Hey, everybody. This is Laura in Richmond, Virginia. I actually just got a kitten, and I was just listening to the second part of today's show. And Mary, what has been so helpful with not having any litter is literally not having litter. I hated it getting tracked through the house. Instead, I just found it's Purina Breeze. It's like just a pellet system, and it's incredible. If you're interested, I can send you the link, but it's amazing, and there's zero smell. I know there actually is zero smell. I'm a huge neat freak, and there's no litter, and nothing's tracked. So look into that. It's the Breeze system by Purina. Okay, guys, take care. Bye.
There's Laura in Richmond, Virginia. Do you want a system?
Purina.
Do you want to have to worry about a system with your cat?
Breeze pellets. I hate the word pellet.
Why?
I don't know. I think because...
How about a Peloton?
Well, yeah. No, I think because we had to digest an owl pellet in high school, so now I assume...
You had to digest it?
Oh, dissect.
I was going to say, wait a second.
It's like, man, Berea's...
What are they doing in Berea?
Eat this animal puke.
Wow.
Is it like a hazing thing?
Right.
You want to be a cheerleader? You got to eat this owl pellet?
No, we had to dissect an owl pellet. And so now whenever I hear the word pellet... That's what I think. Now, I get nervous changing things up on my cat because anytime a change in her routine happens, she pees. She doesn't pee outside the box. She'll puke a bunch of times. She'll do stuff like that. So
cat pellets.
The last thing I want is to deal with cat pellets. But maybe it's worth a try.
Well, according to Laura, who's there in Richmond, she just got a kitten. And so she's trying it out.
Yeah,
she's making it work.
The kitten doesn't know any different. You know?
That's all the kitten knows. We used pellets when I was married, and I liked them better than I liked the
litter.
The litter.
The litter, it just tracks it. There's a litter robot. It's literally called the litter robot. That is a $500 litter box.
Just buy that.
That
it
cleans itself, and it's got all these parts, and it's got these steps that are sticky. So when your cat walks on it, it like takes the litter off their paws. And I'm like, I don't think I can bring myself to buy a $500 litter box. Like, that's ridiculous.
But it'll pay for itself in a year and a half.
I don't know about all that.
With all the cleaning you won't have to do.
So maybe I will try the pellets.
Has Mary ever used feline pine?
No.
Okay. Biodegradable. Anywho. So we've got a bureau chief named Matt, and he's our bureau chief in Albany, New York. I don't know if he's the only one, but I know he is one. And there's something going on in local television up in Albany, New York right now. A woman named Heather Korvar is at WRGB, which is the CBS affiliate up in Albany. And she's been there for a while. This is CBS 6. And Heather Korvar, I think, does the afternoon or early evening news. She's one of their anchors. And they have suspended her because they can't figure out what happened. She got on the air and was very erratic. She looked disheveled. For the most part, the days of hair and makeup at news stations, unless you're in a major market, those are long gone. Even in Cleveland, right? News anchors are doing their own makeup. They're doing their own hair, blah, blah, blah. Back in the day, you used to have hair and makeup people. So she looks like she didn't do anything with her hair. And people started hitting up the station and saying they were concerned about her because she was slurring her words. And they eventually had to cut her off because she wasn't aware of what was going on. And so they've suspended her. I think she has put out a statement saying that she's not going to renew her contract. She's been there for a while, but but she had to take a leave of absence because she was dealing with the death of her father. So I can understand, like, the brain fog after that. Like, the first week I came back after being gone for 2 weeks with my dad, probably the same for you. Like, I had no idea what was going on. Like, I could barely even form my thoughts properly, right? So the Heather Korvar situation is in flux.
Developing now, we're learning of a massive explosion and large fire at a One Oak plant in Medford, Oklahoma. It is the location of a natural gas terminal that moves natural gas through Kansas and Texas. You see, massive underground stores of gas are at risk. Evacuations have been ordered for the town of Medford, Oklahoma, with unknown fatalities. Injuries injuries are unknown at this situation. All right, so, well, hello, good afternoon. Like I was telling you this morning, if you watched us this morning, starting at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., I told you, you know what, today, what a beautiful day outside. It is just amazing. And so, a great time for outdoor music. The Powers Park Concert Series kicking off this afternoon. It's a celebration of the 250th anniversary of the village of Lansingburg. Now, but they're going to do this throughout August, but it's just today's a very special event. And I just can't tell you how much I love this Powers Park event. And
she's just going on and on and you know, so people are like, is she drunk? She says she was just exhausted.
She might be on medication.
Exhaustion.
It sounds like.
Yeah.
Like if she's adjusting to a new antidepressant or something. And
I mean, she's legit. I mean, she's been around. She's been there for a little while, but before that, she was a correspondent based in London for CBS News. And she says that she was just exhausted. But she sounded drunk.
Yes, she did.
I mean, I've been really tired before. I didn't sound like that.
Maybe she was so tired from all the drinking.
Oh,
is that what it was?
Well, a very, very heavy debatation tonight. We had a very Darrison bite. Let's go to Terrace Chasen for the head of the pit.
Yeah, no, she didn't have any Darrison bertations, but...
my dad was in the hospital for 11 days, and I pretty much didn't sleep that entire time. I was like, because I had my phone on loud and the slightest little noise would wake me up thinking it was a phone call or something like that. And there were points where I felt kind of like she did, where you just kind of are like trying to form a sentence and it doesn't really work. So you're looking around and I got enough of water running yesterday. And then I sat on the couch and the cat said hi. And then I was like, dude, you got to sleep because reality and dreams start to mix together.
Yeah.
So maybe she's just not sleeping. Sleep deprivation will do some crazy things to your body.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She kept referring to the weatherman as Craig Adams. Wrong guy. Yeah, I don't know. But they have suspended her until they figure out what's going on. Pending
but is she continuing like that, or is it just like one time she had a bad day?
Yeah, I don't know.
Tired,
I mean, she said that she... I notified the station I would not be renewing my contract, which expires July 31st. This sounds like a you can't fire me, I quit type situation.
Yeah.
Get fired.
She was scheduled to work the early morning shift and the evening shift. I was sleep deprived and exhausted. So, yeah, they did have her, and she's anchoring solo there. And this is also kind of an indictment on the state of local news, where here's a woman who's like, they go, hey, I need you to do 6A and 6P newscast by yourself.
Even though your dad just died.
Yeah.
How recently was it? Is this like a week or two later, or is this like 6 months later?
She had returned early from family leave following her dad's death.
So she's
it sounds recent.
A couple days out, and it's
sounds
like,
recent.
I got to pull a double shift.
Yeah.
That sucks. I feel bad for her.
So she was somebody who had come from another, like she's worked for a couple TV stations in Albany. So she's got some equity in the market. People know who she is. I don't think that's something that's going to end your career, especially if you blame the dead dad.
Yeah.
Go for it. I had a dead dad moment yesterday.
What was that?
We had kind of a rough weekend with my boyfriend's daughter. She's very whiny lately and very just kind of difficult. She just wants everything to be explained to her, and there's no like because I
What a
said so.
jerk.
Well, no. If we say, hey, you can't have your tablet at breakfast, she'll say, why? You know what I mean? Like, or I want my tablet at breakfast. You always let me do it. And Brian's like, literally never let you do that. I don't know what you're talking about. But she's like, so that kind of a thing. And
Is she putting on a show because you're around?
I don't think so. But
She's used to you by now.
by now, yeah. So I felt like I found myself saying things to her that my dad used to say to me about like crying and whining and stuff. And
I'll give you something to cry about.
Right. Well, it kind of just hit me weird that I was like, oh, wow, this is my first time experiencing this from the other side. And then it made me want to like call my dad and apologize or be like, just call him and vent and be like, hey, I see why you hated us for so long, like that kind of thing, like kind of commiserate or whatever. And then I had this moment of like, oh, I can't do that. My dad's gone. And then it hit me weird. So now it's not even really about the kid or her being whining or anything. Now it's like almost like guilt where I'm like, man, I was such a piece of crap to my dad for so long. And then I'm crying and I'm having all these moments. And
I think every kid becomes an adult and comes to that conclusion. I mean, if they have any kind of relationship with their parents at all, they're like, oh, man.
But I don't think you realize it until there's a child in your life, or at least
you don't have kids. You wouldn't know.
I had, it's until I started having some form of a parenting role more regularly that I was like, man, I must have put my parents through hell because I know I was worse than that, you know? And it just made me feel like kind of guilty and sad. And my boyfriend, his mom passed away 10 years ago. So he's kind of talking me through it. He goes, oh, I had all that when Blake was first born and yada, yada. And as we're doing it, we're making like a grocery list and he's asking about, just going through the cupboards and stuff like that. He goes, is there anything else you need on here? I was like, I don't know, can you bring my dad back?
So the kid is whining about the tablet and you're whining about your dad being dead.
But then I look at our grocery list and it says Mary's dad at the top of the grocery list. He wrote it down. He's like, we're going to Giant Eagle though, so I don't know, do we find dead dads at Giant Eagle or is he like a Whole Foods guy?
More of a Meyer thing, I think. Yeah.
I was like, he weighed 386 pounds, Brian. He wasn't at Whole Foods. He goes, you're right, we should check Mark's.
Yeah, like Costco in bulk.
But I think it was definitely a weird dad moment that I wasn't prepared for. And I told him, he's like, do you want me to take her out of the house for a while? And I was like, it really isn't even about her at this point. This is about like a new level of grief that comes with something I've never experienced before. It's very weird. Very, very weird. Whatever, dude.
What?
It's a weird thing.
You and I are in the Dead Dad Club. I know.
Yeah, but you got to talk to your dad about parenting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
You never had that type of a conversation with him?
I mean, I was never my younger brothers were the ones that, like, my parents were, like, ready to kick out of the house.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. So I never gave my parents, like, I was a class clown. I was a pain in the ass, like, in school, so whatever came with that. And I was getting spanked all the time. But by the time I got to high school, I was fine. Like, I didn't give my parents that hard time where a lot of people, to your point, are like, oh, God, I really feel bad that I gave my parents such a hard time.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I mean, when I got, to be a teenager.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of those, so I don't know.
But when your kids were little, you didn't ask your dad for advice on how to
hey, how did
get
you
through
do
a
this?
situation?
Or this is so frustrating.
No, because I knew how they did. No, because what I told my parents was, because I know they initially were chastising me for not spanking my kids.
Beat 'em.
And I go, I'm not going to do that. And they're like, good luck.
Yeah.
I'm like, guess what? Plenty of kids. I go, look how I turned out. Like, I'm not a psycho, but whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's, that does something.
I think s'mores are overrated.
Yeah. Teddy Graham s'mores over here.
Listen, if that's as bad as it gets, we're all doing okay. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to smack my kids.
Yeah.
Not going to do it. And I didn't. So it wasn't so much...
Who did, though?
Huh?
Who smacked your kids?
Yeah,
nobody smacked my kids.
I didn't know if you hired somebody else to do it and be like...
It was too expensive.
Life did, Bill. Life smacked him in the face.
Sooner or later, life's going to kick you in the balls. So it's like, all you got to do, you got to hope that they're,
Yeah, my parenting style was so much different than my parents that it wasn't ever... Like, I want to go to my dad and be like, how do you deal with it? Because I didn't like the way that he dealt with me. So, like, I don't ask him for advice on
That's
stuff.
what I'm saying. You know how your parents dealt with things because you were who they were dealing with.
And
Right.
I don't feel like I have to apologize to them because I, again, wasn't really a bad kid. Like, there was definitely things like we didn't get along, but it was more like I wasn't rebellious against them as my parents. I was rebellious against
All
the religion and stuff like that.
yeah.
But that was later.
And my dad was working. He was making a living. So if I had said to him, how'd you guys deal with this? He'd be like, ask your mom. Your mom was dealing with that.
I was a mouthy kid. I like to talk back. I like that was me.
That was
through
impossible
and
to
through.
do.
Yeah.
And so that's when I get into it with her. I find myself reverting. Maybe I'm reverting back to being a kid, but I see her being kind of mouthy or kind of whiny or demanding, and I see myself in it. And then it was just such a weird experience to almost see little Mare talking to my dad as her talking to me, and then I was just reflexively and I must have heard this somewhere because it just came spouting out like nothing. I'll talk to you when you're done crying. When you can talk to me logically, we can talk. And I'm like, oh, that wasn't even me. That was Tony. I didn't even mean that. You know?
That's a weird
But you're also asking a 6-year-old to act logically too.
Well, and that's the whole point. Is that I knew as a child, I knew how much I hated that as a kid. Because I only felt what I felt, and I would hate when my dad would say that kind of stuff to me. And then I got frustrated and just spouted it out, almost didn't even think about it. It just came pouring out of my mouth, and it really caught me by surprise. It,
pouring out like thick phlegm.
Yeah.
Big, thick spit. Coming at your parenting style.
Yeah!
Yeah, I was never a talk back to my parents in any way type of person.
So mouthy.
That was...
There would have been an Allen-shaped hole in the wall, like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon if I'd...
I was good in every other aspect. Top of my class as far as grades, co-curricular, every type of thing I was perfect, but I liked to say what I needed to say. I wanted to have the last word.
Oh, no. We didn't get to say what we needed to say.
Oh, I would get hit, but I'd be talking back as I was getting spanked.
I remember my brother
were getting spanked.
watching my brother, he's probably 17 or 18 at the time, and he tried to stand up to my dad, and my dad yoked him up, because my dad was strong. He was a bricklayer.
Yeah.
So my dad, he just held him by his shirt, and the way I remember it felt like he put him into the ceiling.
Yeah.
But he just backed him up against the fridge, and I was just like, I'm never going to say anything to that guy.
Right. He's so strong.
Hey, I got Rob Zombie tickets for you. The show is Rob Zombie and Mudvayne and Static X and Powerman 5000. It's an awesome lineup. It's going to play August 3rd out at Blossom. It's a Wednesday night, just a couple of weeks away. You can go to livenation.com. If you want to go to the show, be caller 10, and I'll hand you off this pair of tickets here. 216-578-1007 to get them, or 800-348-1007.
This is the Alan Cox Show.